France is taxing cars into extinction. Now, if you want to understand how governments can eliminate gasoline cars without technically banning them, look no further than France. There is no dramatic announcement, no sudden prohibition, and no, police aren't stopping drivers from buying internal combustion vehicles. Instead, France has chosen a quieter but far more effective approach. A tax structure so punitive that owning certain gasoline or diesel cars has become financially irrational overnight. After you hear their evil plan, look for other countries to follow. France's system is not theoretical, not future-facing, and not symbolic. It is happening right now at the dealership counter. Buyers are learning that the price of the window sticker may have little resemblance to the final bill, because the government has inserted itself directly into the transaction with tens of thousands of euros in additional taxes. At the center of the policy is what France calls its malus ecologique, and I'm probably saying that wrong, I don't speak French, but it's an environmental penalty tax applied when a vehicle is first registered. It is not an annual fee, it is not a fuel tax, it is a one-time charge imposed at purchase, and in many cases, it can rival or even exceed the value of the vehicle itself. The malus system has two components, and together they form one of the most aggressive vehicle taxation frameworks in the world. The first is based on carbon dioxide emissions. The second is based on vehicle weight. While each can be substantial in its own, many vehicles are hit with both at the same time. The CO2 malus applies to new vehicles and to used vehicles imported into France when they are registered for the first time. Using the WLTP testing standard, the tax begins once a car exceeds a specific emissions threshold. Under the current 2024-2025 rules, the threshold is roughly 113 grams of CO2 per kilometer. From there, the penalty rises rapidly with every additional gram. And this is not a gentle slope. The tax accelerates quickly, and by the time a vehicle reaches a higher emissions bracket, the penalty can climb into the tens of thousands of euros. This is not about nudging consumer behavior at the margins. It's about eliminating an entire category of vehicle from practical consideration. The second component of the system, weight malus, is also involved. France now penalizes vehicles based on curb weight, starting at roughly 1,600 kilograms or about 3,527 pounds. For every kilogram over that limit, buyers pay an additional fee. This disproportionately affects SUVs, luxury sedans, and performance vehicles, many of which are heavier due to safety equipment, all-wheel drive systems, or larger engines. When the emissions malus and the weight malus are combined, the results can be staggering. Vehicles that are neither exotic nor ultra-luxury suddenly carry government surcharges that rival six-figure price tags. One of the most widely cited examples is the Toyota GR Yaris. This is not a supercar. It's a small performance-focused hatchback developed to meet rally homologation requirements. It's a fun little car. And in most markets, it's celebrated as an enthusiast car that delivers serious performance at a relatively accessible price. In France, however, the GR Yaris has become a case study on how policy reshapes market. Despite its compact size, its turbocharged engine produces CO2 emissions high enough to place it in the upper malus bracket. Depending on the model year and specification, the environmental tax alone can approach 70,000 euro. That's the cap. And when adding that base price of the vehicle, the final cost can reach 90,000 to 100,000 euros. And remember, that's more in US dollars. The car itself did not change. The tax did. This high tax outcome is not limited to one model. Hot hatches like the Honda Civic Type R, Mercedes-AMG A45, sports cars such as the Porsche 911, Toyota Supra, BMW M models, and performance SUVs like the Porsche Cayenne, BMW X5M, Mercedes-AMG GLE 63 are heavily penalized under the same framework. Vehicles once considered aspirational but attainable are now priced as luxury indulgences by the government's decree. Electric vehicles, by contrast, are generally exempt from the CO2 malus entirely. Plug-in hybrids occupy a more complicated position. While they were once largely shielded from penalties, many PHEVs now face both emissions and weight taxes, depending on their specifications. So even so, some luxury plug-in hybrids incur a far lower penalty than their gasoline counterparts, creating sharp price disparities between mechanically similar vehicles is an issue. Supporters of the policy argue that this approach accelerates electrification, reduces national fleet emissions, and pressures automakers to prioritize low-carbon technologies. From a regulatory standpoint, the system is effective. Sales data shows that buyers respond quickly when faced with five-figure penalties at the point of purchase. Critics counter that the malice system disproportionately punishes consumers rather than manufacturers and eliminates affordable performance vehicles and undermines automotive enthusiasts and choice. They argue that the weight-based penalties fail to account for safety improvements and real-world use, and that emissions measurements do not always reflect actual environmental impact. What is clear is that France has not banned gasoline cars outright. Buyers can still legally purchase and register internal combustion vehicles. There is no law preventing it. However, by attaching massive financial penalties to those purchases, the government has effectively priced many of them out of reach. This distinction matters. A ban is visible and politically charged. A tax is quieter, easy to implement, and often more durable. It shifts responsibility onto consumers while achieving the same end result: a market where certain choices technically exist but no longer are realistic. France's approach offers a preview of how transportation policy can evolve without dramatic legislative showdowns. Instead of saying, "You may not buy this," the government can simply say, "You may buy this, but it will cost you dearly." For now, France remains one of the most extreme examples, but as emissions rules tighten across Europe and beyond, it is unlikely to remain alone. The lesson is not that gasoline cars are illegal today. It is that in some markets, they are already being taxed into extinction. And you have to be careful who you vote into office, because this could happen easily here in the USA. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.